Hello. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. It's good to see you guys again. Can you let me know if you can hear me? Just want to make sure my audio is good. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Yay, you finally caught me, live. Okay, great. You guys can hear me. Fabulous. Okay. So welcome to another live, 2 days in a row. Thank you for joining. I want to talk about, or I want to provide some messages that were coming through. This morning I did a channeled guided journey with this collective called the Seas. That's the name they gave me. They were around 11th or 12th dimension. And I did this in my Patreon community. And one of the it was super powerful. It was really, really, really powerful. And I'm still feeling the effects of that journey. And if anyone is interested in going on the journey, you can go to my Patreon account. It's just Patreon.com/Lori Ladd. And you can watch the replay. It was one of the most powerful journeys I've done with light beings. So what they showed us was the idea or the notion of manifesting, and intending, right? It's all just human words, human vocabulary. And what it actually means when you are experiencing yourself and your reality in higher states of consciousness. So manifesting or intending in a lower state of consciousness, like in a 3D field, in a 3D reality, is very different than manifesting when you are, and it's not even manifesting, which I'll go into, but I'm just going to use the word intention and manifesting as the same, okay? But when you are starting to move into higher states of consciousness and holding higher vibrational frequencies in your form, your reality shifts, and the way you intend or manifest is completely different. And so what I want to share tonight in this video is how we are stepping into a new way of creating, intending, collapsing timelines. It's all the same thing, and understanding the quantum field. That is all happening, and it all is occurring at the same time. So if you are intending, you're playing in the quantum field. If you are intending and manifesting, you are collapsing timelines, right? That's what you're doing. So here's what they showed us, and here is what I want you to play with as you are stepping into these new energies that we are experiencing. By the way, one of the things my guides wanted me to remind all of us about is one of the roles that we hold as the way showers of this new consciousness, which is feeling a lot, right? And which we're all aware of, and starting to get comfortable with feeling more and more intently and intensely, palpably, allowing us to, so that we can drop into a deeper amount of love, right? Because sometimes when we start really dropping into the frequency, the intensity of that love vibration, that love tone, it almost feels like a sadness or it's hard to put words into it, but almost like a weeping, sobbing mess. It's like you can't quite put words to really what that frequency feels like. And so it's almost like we're dropping layers of emotional experiences, intensities, as we get deeper and deeper into that love quotient or that love tone that we as way showers and light workers are here to emanate, no matter what our reality looks like, right? That's our jobs. And so what it requires is this leveling down of an emotional intensity. Because as you turn up the light, as your frequency turns up, you are going to feel more on every level. And we have to allow ourselves to ruminate in that. Ruminate. We have to allow ourselves to be in all of the intensities right now, because it is training us to be able to hold the very, very intense, palpable vibration of love. You see, one of the things I also really understood today in this journey, which I cannot recommend enough, is that the intense vibration and frequencies that we're stepping into are so massive that we are just tiptoeing into the feeling of it, the energy of it. It would blow us out of the water. It would literally blow us out of our bodies, which is what happened today for a lot of us. We literally, we jumped out of the body, because what they did was they activated our light bodies, the soul, the spirit that we are. And it was like, we couldn't handle it. And that's the love vibration as well. So we have to allow ourselves to learn and practice feeling more and more and more in whatever spectrum we're feeling, without judgment or duality, which means we are settling into the neutral place of it all just is an experience, an energy, a consciousness, and I'm feeling more of it and more of it and more of it. It's not me. It's not the other person. It's just the experience of consciousness, and I'm learning how to feel more, right? Many of us are not clearing as much as we used to. We've done a lot of clearing. And so this is what's occurring. So that is one of the really strong messages that came in. Tell them about that love tone, that love frequency, that love essence that is so much more palpable than what many of us are currently tapping into, which is the way it's designed. And so if you're feeling more sort of, the word I'm using is sadness, but it's not sadness. It's just a huge amount of like overwhelm of emotion, just this overwhelm emotion of wanting to cry or wanting to like break down or wanting to drop, that's beautiful, because that's getting you closer and closer to that essence and spark of source and the tone of love vibration. My guides always talk about it as a tone or an essence. So that's the first message, right? Now here comes the other thing. This is about intending and manifesting. So here we go. Okay. The way we used to intend and the way we used to manifest was done in a very slow frequency. So it was a longer time frame. It took a very long time to manifest and intend, because we were in a very slow or low vibration. I say we were because I am holding the knowingness that we have literally shifted out of that. Okay. So, and meaning we're in a different field now. We're in a different dimension, fourth dimension, right? I really, truly, deeply know that we are. But it's this teetering back and forth between these two dimensional fields. And in this new dimensional field, here is how we are intending and manifesting. First of all, those words really, I wish there was another word for it that I could use, but there isn't. When you start craving, desiring, or having an urge for something, right? Like, oh my God, I want to be doing something different. Oh my God, I want more abundance, or I want to be dancing on a stage. I want to be writing my book. I want to be in a beautiful relationship. Whatever that is, I want to be, as if you aren't already, right? That craving, that desire is the initial spark of the intention and manifestation. And what we have thought about it in the past is that, oh, this is something I'm feeling into. This would be really fun. This is what I want. This is what I'm creating. In the quantum space and a fourth dimensional field experiencing a fifth dimensional consciousness, what you're actually doing is you are tapping into an aspect of you that is existing already in and now. It's being, it's having, it's experiencing. And you, as an energetic being that is turning on more, You are energetically in the quantum field, tapping into that version of you through an energetic cord. And it's like your radar saying, oh my God, I feel that being. I feel that aspect of me. Oh my God, I want that aspect of me. Yes, that feels good. Now, please note that in the quantum, there is an infinite amount of use in every now moment that you could be tapping into energetically based on your frequency, based on the timeline and the trajectory that you're on. Do you understand? Meaning, whatever frequency you're in right now, you're going to be in the quantum tapping into another aspect of you that's going to be pretty close to that frequency, not too far out, not too high of a frequency, because you can't feel that aspect of you yet. So it's an aspect of you that's in a similar vibration, but a little bit higher, right? And there's many aspects of you that you can ping into and say, oh, that's what I want. Meaning that's what I'm going to step into. Okay. So it already is. It's already being. That aspect of you is on stage, or that aspect of you is doing your purpose work. There's no such thing as I'm going to create that, or I'm going to manifest that, or I'm going to intend that. Do you understand? You're not creating it. It already is. It already is. What you're doing is you're energetically tapping into it because you're in a quantum field now, meaning you're knowing that you're in a quantum space. And there is an energetic cord connecting you. And here is where it gets fun. So, first of all, that's what's happening. Okay, from the quantum's perspective, that's what's happening. You didn't create that. Now, from a much larger perspective, your higher self created this next version of you, meaning that based on your frequency and vibration, your higher self is guiding you to that next highest version of you that's going to fit in with where you are. So it's not too high of a vibration where it's like, there's no way I'm going to get that. There's no way I'm going to reach that. And it's not in a lower vibration, right? So the higher self is navigating you to this aspect. Hey, what about this? What about this? What about this, right? This is sitting here for you, this aspect of you. But it's already there. This is the next highest version of you that I'm always talking about. It's already created. Okay? So what we do when we're so the first sign is that urge, that desire, that yearning, that craving, right? It's a craving. Okay, you don't not have it. Number one, you don't not have it. You are tapping into the aspect of you that has it, that's doing it. And that's why you're feeling that craving. That's the first thing. You're feeling that craving because you are tapping into an aspect of you that is living it right now in another timeline, in another frequency, in the now moment, in the quantum. Okay? Second, you are visualizing, you are feeling, and you are, hold on, I got to remember the 3 words, embodying that version of you. So the visualization is the physical scene of it. What does it look like? The feeling of it is, how does my body feel as that aspect? Because you can feel it instantaneously. For instance, if you were doing your purpose work, what does it feel like? And then the embodiment is the knowingness that you are it. It already is. You are embodying it by knowing that it is so. It is so. From that perspective, you're not creating or manifesting anything. You are holding that knowingness, holding that vision, and holding the energy that it feels every day, 24/7, all day long, as you start to bring these 2 aspects of you together. This is one timeline. This is another timeline. This is you now. This is you now, but in that other version. And what begins to happen as you now hold this aspect of you now, it's a reality. It is done. It is so. You start to hold it. And the next thing you know, these two timelines merge and collapse into each other. That's what collapsing timelines is. And then you are that version of you that you at one other now moment time tapped into and wanted to be. And then it continues, and then it continues, and then it continues. And the great thing about us moving into higher states of consciousness and understanding how this works is as we vibrate higher, as we move into higher dimensional fields, this cord that's holding these two aspects of us, collapsing the timeline, gets smaller and smaller and smaller because time collapses. And as time collapses, so energy speeds up, time collapses, right? So we're not experiencing time in an elongated, slow way, right? So in 3D, here's me, here's the other version of me. And it's like New York and California. That's why it takes so long, right? Energetically. And when we start to increase our vibrations, these two aspects of us start to come closer and closer. Oh my God, I can feel this. Oh my God, I can see this. Oh my God, I know this. I know this. I know this. And when you start moving into even higher states of consciousness, it gets even closer. And when you are vibrating 24/7 in a 5D consciousness and your physical form is anchored in a 5D field, you are intending and manifesting instantaneously, which means that you stand in this now, you visualize, intend, and create energetically what it is you want in your now moment. You understand the frequency of it, what it looks like, feels like, is. You pull it out of the quantum, literally, energetically, and you bring it into your now. So you collapse. And there's no collapsing of timelines when you are in a 5D consciousness because time doesn't exist in the same way. So collapsing timelines is something that we do in a 3D and a 4D field. When you're in a 5D field, you are playing so effortlessly in the quantum that you're just pulling. You're not collapsing. Collapsing happens when time is slowed down. You understand? So that's why we get so frustrated when we are manifesting. We are missing the point. One, we're missing the point. It already is, right? And the other thing is that we are in a very slow time-space continuum. We used to be. We're starting to shift out of that. So what we want to start doing is literally seeing these two aspects of us in the now, or maybe there's 3 or 4. First of all, this aspect of you, there's many of these aspects of you in the now. It depends on what path you're on and what vibration you're holding and what you're you're craving to feel next. Remember that craving, that desire, that urge is you literally energetically tapping that other aspect of you that already is existing. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that urge. The urge is coming from the quantum space that you're tapping into. And so it becomes not something that you are trying to create and make happen. You're not manifesting it. It already is. So what you're doing is that you are holding that knowingness through vibration, energy, feeling, and embodiment. And you have to do it in whatever vibration that you're currently in, holding any sort of paradigms, programs, beliefs, and thoughts that are going to make this energetic cord not be as potent. For instance, if you are intending you're stepping into your purpose work, so many of us are doing that, right? Stepping into my purpose work. You're doing it here. Now, first of all, I do want to also state that depending upon what craving or now aspect of you that you're tapping into, If it is an aspect of you that is really difficult to trust and believe, it's going to take a lot longer. This frequency is a much higher frequency than the frequency you're having now. So the amount of knowingness that you have regarding an aspect of you that is now, that you're tapping into, the higher the frequency, the harder it's going to be to trust and know that it is so. The lower in frequency and closer it is in your own vibration, the easier it is to tap into it and know that it is so. For instance, saying that you're going to create $1 million in a month, that is a frequency that you are most likely not going to be able to hold that knowingness of, 100% knowingness, right? It's an aspect of you if you're craving it, if you're desiring it. It's in a now moment experiencing that. But can you bring yourself into that vibration and frequency from where you are? And there's no use trying to if you can't hold the knowingness. So then you bring yourself down and say, okay, this month I'm going to make $3,000. That's a knowingness that feels good to you. I can tap into that and I can hold that knowingness, right? You want to play in that. You want to start to notice, what am I actually tapping into and how far away is it in vibration from my knowingness, which is my vibration. Okay? My vibration is going to tell me how far I am. And my knowingness of this is going to tell me my vibration, meaning how much do I believe that it is so? Okay, that's why certain things are created in your now moment faster than others, because it's in a lower vibration and it's in a closer vibration to you. So if you're creating a purpose work and you're stepping into that purpose work, right? And then here's this energetic cord, and here you are. And let's just say the vibration of you in that purpose work is here and your vibration is here, right? Nothing wrong, that's just the vibration. And here you are starting to step out of the old work that you're doing, the old job that doesn't work. And here you are already doing your purpose work. And here's this energetic cord. In this field that you're in, there's going to be beliefs, thoughts, paradigms, and programs that are going to tell you certain things about this aspect of you. You can't have it. It's never going to work. Good luck. How are you going to do it? Where are you going to make money? Those aren't true. It's not a truth. It's just the reality and consciousness that you're ruminating in, that you're floating in. It's 3D field, 3D consciousness. It's ego. It's the egoic structure. It's all of that. And so here you are floating in this, right? And yet you are tapping into with an energetic cord, this other aspect of you that's already doing the work. And this can be anything, you guys. You can place this as anything. A relationship, anything, money, abundance, health, right? And so you have to start to understand how this is working quantumly. Understand what's happening on a quantum level when you are in this matrix, in this density. Even in a 4D field, there's still density, there's still duality in a lower 4D field. So what are your beliefs? What's the beautiful egoic structure telling you? What are the programs and paradigms that are being given that you are giving yourself and believing? What are you believing about this? That's all you need to do. Just be conscious. Oh, this is how the quantum field works. I'm in this matrix, in this field, and I'm swimming around in all this consciousness, and my ego is going to filter it in, and I'm either going to believe it or not. Because we're all swimming in the same consciousness. Some of us believe it and some of us don't, right? So you have to start to get extremely conscious of what you're swimming in and what the ego is pulling from this field of consciousness. And then you say to yourself, none of that's true. That's just consciousness that I'm swimming in. And this is actually true. This is actually a now moment. This is actually occurring. It's already done. If I'm tapping into it and I'm craving it and I'm desiring it, it is done. It's done. It is. It's done. You are doing it. So then it becomes this plane in the quantum. And so you've got to allow yourself to consciously be aware of what's coming up. and recognize it's not true. It's consciousness. That's it. And then you hold this over and over and over. And you know it like you know your name. You feel it like you know, like you can feel the knowingness that if somebody were to hand you a donut and say, is this a piece of pizza? You would say, no, it's a donut. How do you know? Because I know. There's no, you can't change the knowingness. It is 100% knowingness. I know that's a donut. You can't tell me differently. I know I'm doing my purpose work. Now, because we are living in and we are vibrating in a denser field, this stepping into and collapsing timelines can take time. And there's nothing wrong with time. You can't fight time, right? You can't beat it up or get upset with it because it is the way energy is experienced. And until you're vibrating in a much faster speed and capacity, you're still going to experience time. So this is what you're doing. And there are no, like shortcuts around stepping into and collapsing timelines. It's just understanding how it works and then having patience with yourself while you're moving through it. The exercise that the C's told us today, they told us to take a piece of paper and write down, draw or write that aspect of you that already is, right? And then you just let go and you hold the frequency of it. And you hold the knowingness of it. And then you let go because you're not creating anything. You're not designing it. You're not creating the path to it. It's all energy. It's just you connecting to that energy. It's you connecting to that energetic being that you are that is doing it. And however you want to connect to that, connect to it 24/7. And the more you connect to it, the more potently you feel it, the faster you'll bring these two timelines together and they'll collapse. Does that make sense? This is very quantum. So you have to understand we are all vibrating differently. Okay. And this may trigger you and say, this is nuts. There's no freaking way. That's ridiculous. And there may be people that are like, oh my God, I get this. I totally vibrate with this. That's the ascension process. That's the ascension journey. That's what we're doing. We're energetic beings with our own energetic vibration, walking around like our own weight of our physical bodies walking around, right? And some things are going to energetically resonate and make sense, and other things aren't yet. And that's okay. It's totally okay. But this is how you merge these aspects of you from a higher perspective, from a higher consciousness. And there's nothing wrong with intending and manifesting and creating from a lower frequency and dimension. It works. Many, many millions of people do it all day long, every day. But when you start to play in the quantum, it becomes much more fun. You relax and there's nothing to do. You see, in the 3D consciousness, it's all about doing, controlling. My manifestation list, my this, my that, my mantras, all these things, right? Do. That's 3D. And when you start stepping into these higher states of consciousness, you relax the heck out of yourself because you're in the quantum, because you're floating in flow. You're in flow. You're not controlling because you understand energy. When you understand energy and consciousness, there's nothing to control. And you are walking side by side with the egoic structure. You are not trying to transmute the ego. The ego comes with you. The ego is part of the human structure. So it comes along with you, but you got to train it. No, those things you're tapping into, I understand why you're tapping into that ego, but it's not true for me anymore. It doesn't resonate. I'm not going to believe it anymore, because why? Why am I going to believe these things? It doesn't do any service to me to believe that I'm not worthy of this. It doesn't do any service to me believing that this is never going to happen. That's a disservice to myself. Why am I going to do that? So as we're shifting states of consciousness, we're shifting states of beingness. And when we start shifting states of beingness, we're being different. We're playing differently. The way we used to do things aren't going to make sense anymore. It's kind of going to be like, that doesn't even work. That doesn't even make sense to me. It's energy. And when you play in this, you guys, it gets really exciting, because you realize that you can have anything. When people talk about like, oh, you can have anything you want and you can intend anything you want and you're in a quantum space and you can just pull whatever you want. Well, when you actually start being in it and like actually and really feeling what they're talking about, it's true. It's really true. And we will eventually be standing in fields of density or dimensions where intention and intention and energy is going to create our now moments, reality. What do we want next? What do I want next? What do I want next? The other thing I want to preface really fast that's just coming in from these beings is, when you are intending and manifesting from the egoic structure, there's going to be a disconnect. So, meaning the egoic structure is designed to lead you and guide you from in a third dimensional field. That's its purpose, right? When you start moving into higher states of consciousness, the 4D field and the 5D field, the higher self is guiding you. The ego doesn't know where you're going. It can't see these higher frequencies. It only sees where it is. And it's going to continue to try to pull you back to where it understands and knows how to navigate, which is 3D consciousness. So you have to train the ego. Hey, we're moving into higher states of consciousness. You're going to be okay. Come along with me. You're just going to settle down. I'm safe. I'm really safe. You don't have to navigate the spectrum of consciousness anymore, because the spectrum of consciousness is closing in, because we're moving into higher states of consciousness where the spectrums comes in closer. So I'm okay. But when you intend or manifest from an egoic structure in 3D, you are tapping into most likely aspects of you that you're never going to have a knowingness with, because it is not necessarily for your highest good. And so there are intentions and manifestations that you may be creating that will never turn into fruition, because the egoic structure is trying to tap into something that doesn't exist. And so there will be this false sense of, oh my God, if I had this, this is going to bring me happiness. If I have this, this is going to bring me joy. If I have this, this is going to bring me love, right? And so there's this false sense of creating or manifesting that never happens, because the egoic structure is trying to tap into something that it can't feel, it can't know, it can't experience. And so when you are manifesting or intending from the higher self, it's pure. It's like, it's the next highest version of you. It's not bringing you anything that is distracting you from being in you. Okay, what does that mean? It means that when you intend for a partner, and you're intending for that partner from a space of lack, insecurity, self-loathing, loneliness, that's ego creating. And you're going to create a pattern, a person that's going to match that egoic structure that is desiring this partner. The part of you that is craving the twin flame, the soulmate, all these things, that's the egoic structure of you that is desiring to feel loved. the desiring to feel full and complete. When you intend from that place, you are going to create another now moment of you where you are still feeling incomplete. So the egoic structure creates from this same linear field. And so you're going to continue to bring to you the same experiences that you're vibrating at with this egoic structure creating and intending. Does that make sense? So if you're trying to bring in more money because you want to feel like you are making other people happy, right? Or you are doing what everyone is expecting you to do. Oh my God, you're so amazing. You're making all this money now, right? If you're creating abundance from that space, then you're always going to be feeling like you need more money. Because you're going to be trying to fill something within you that the egoic structure is trying to create for you from that feeling of lack, of not being enough. Whereas if you know that you are complete and whole, that a partner or abundance or a job or anything isn't going to bring you happiness, it's not going to fill you up, but it's going to add to your life. It's going to bring you into the next highest version of you. It's going to step you deeper into who you are. That's the higher self intending and manifesting. That's the higher self saying, aha. And so then you start manifesting with these aspects or intending, connecting with these aspects of you that are shifting you into the next highest version. Okay, so that's just that they just came in with that. There's these two different ways of kind of connecting and intending. Third dimensional linear, where you're creating the same things over and over and over, even though you think you're not, because you're creating or intending from a place of the egoic structure, which if you think about it, what are you creating from? What energetic frequency are you creating from? Are you creating from lack, not good enough, unworthiness, fear? If you're creating from fear, right, you're still going to create from the linear time frame. Ego, 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 ego structure, ego structure, ego structure, ego structure. Nothing wrong with that, but that's what we've been doing most of our lives. When you start entering into this quantum space, tapping into the higher self and letting the higher self move you into and let you feel, oh my God, that's what I'm craving, right? I'm craving that. That feels so good. It's not about, oh my God, that's going to make me happier. That's going to make me feel more loved. No, it's, oh my God, that feels so exciting. That feels so expanded. That feels so in alignment with me, right? It's about you and your expansion and your evolution and your love for self and humanity. It's a very different frequency and vibration that you are tapping into. And so you want to get clear on, where am I? What is intending right now? Is it the egoic structure? Because if it is, can I start to tap into the higher self? And therein lies the work that we've been doing for months or years, right? The dropping the trauma, the clearing out of the trauma, the shedding of the traumas, the shedding of the Akashic record, the letting go of the programs and paradigms, because it is the programs, the paradigms, the Akashic records, the traumas that are creating that egoic structure, making us believe that we aren't good enough, that we aren't worthy, that we don't deserve abundance, that we don't deserve a partner that's going to equal us and meet us where we are and not provide more or less or whatever that imbalance has been for so many relationships, right? I don't need the relationship to be fulfilled and loved and happy. I don't need the job to be fulfilled and loved and happy. I don't need money to be filled up, loved, and happy. I am that. And I get to play in what I want next. What is that going to be? And when you're unhappy in a situation, right? One of the reasons that you're in that situation and in that experience is to clear out that consciousness and that trauma and whatever the programs and paradigms are that are coming up in that moment. Listen to what's coming up in that moment. When you're in an unhealthy relationship, unhealthy, right? It's just a word, right? When you're in a relationship that doesn't resonate anymore, when you're in a job that doesn't resonate anymore, when you're in a house that doesn't resonate anymore, whatever it may be, what are the programs, paradigms, traumas, thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that are coming up from this experience? Because that's the gift. That's what you're clearing. That's what you're shedding out so that you can get in clear alignment with higher self and intend from that space. So you want to get clear on where you're intending from, meaning what are you tapping into? What are you energetically connecting to? And is it a connection that is continuing to perpetuate this third dimensional paradigm and program I've been in? And if it is, it's okay. Just start to get more clear on that. Right? A lot of times we will create the same type of partner, right? What the freak? Or the same type of job, even though it's a different job, or the same type of money situations, right? It's because we're in this linear space and time continuum where we are perpetuating the programs, paradigms, and the egoic structures that we've lived for so long. So as we're shifting consciousness, moving into higher states of consciousness, all of this is becoming shown to us, and we're courageously saying, okay, I'm going to shed that by looking at it, loving the hell out of myself, remembering who I am, remembering it's not me. And then you slowly start to shift. And then you start recognizing, oh my God, I'm good, I'm whole, I'm okay, I'm going to be okay. Nothing external is going to be able to provide me with that feeling, with that knowingness. And when you create and tap into versions of you that are higher aspects of you, they're not looking outward to receive validation or love or anything like that. That's the other beautiful thing about shifting into higher states of consciousness. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm looking at some of the comments right now. Sorry, I'm just reading. Okay. Nothing crazy. The aliens are coming. The ETs are coming. They're all coming. They're already here. They're already here. They've been with you since the moment you dropped into the body. By the way, you are an alien. You are an ET. You are a galactic being. You are a higher state of consciousness. You're not human. You're not a human being. So let's get that out of the way. Just those terms, you know. Anyway, all right. Is Yogi Joe here? I don't think so. You don't maintain a 5D state. So you're not asking the question of how do I maintain a 5D state? Here's what you want to recognize about that question. That is a question that's coming from an egoic sort of state. Like, how do I keep something? That's a control piece, right? And there's nothing wrong with this because we all do this. We all want to stay in these higher states because they feel so damn good, right? But recognize by asking that question, you're holding an egoic structure that's trying to control. And when you are trying to control anything by trying to stay in something longer or get out of something faster, you're not allowing yourself to be in the quantum or in flow state. And flow state is in 5D consciousness and even in 4D consciousness. So it's not, 5D consciousness is not just about all of the awesome experiences that you have. It's about learning how to be in it. And the way you learn how to be in it is you recognize the programs and how those programs are going to try to come with you into that 5D consciousness. And when you can recognize that, then you can start to allow that aspect of the egoic structure to quiet down so that you can hold those higher states longer. So the first step is recognizing that when you're trying to stay in something longer or leave something sooner, that's control. Anytime there is any control that you're trying to do, you are allowing the egoic structure to lead, which is fine. It's just that when you are in the higher states of consciousness, the ego isn't controlling. The ego's quieting, and the higher self is guiding. And the higher self guides you with you, the ego personality, not controlling anything. Because when you are in these higher states of consciousness, you're in the quantum space. And when you are in that space, you understand that everything is occurring for your highest good, period. You're always moving into the next highest version of you, no matter what. And there's nothing to do other than energetically understand resonance and what you're being called to next and how to be it, feel it, experience it, how to be in the body more and more, aligning, listening, feeling, all of that. It's very simple. We make it much more complicated. Okay. I just blocked them. No, I did not do the video with Yogi Joe about his near-death experience. And I know I need moderators. It's interesting. Tonight I knew I was going to need a moderator. Normally I don't feel like I need one, but tonight I was like, I think I should ask Yogi Joe to come on or Steve Libby to be the moderator. And what do you know? We create our realities. No, Yogi Joe and I did not do that live just because the timing hasn't worked, and energetically it was like we should have just done it that moment. Everything kind of shifts really quickly, and then you feel it and then you don't. So no, we didn't. Where do you go when you sleep? You go to many different dimensions. You access many different portals, and when you access portals, you are moving into different dimensional states. We're in quantum field, and so there's all these different dimensions, and in each dimension is a different experience, different beings of light, different planetary systems, different starships, right? And so you're navigating these different dimensional fields with your etheric body, which is your light body, right? The being that dropped in. And in your dream state, you're doing the same thing that you can do in your conscious waking state, which many of us are doing, right? We call that bilocation or astral traveling or interdimensional travel. And whatever you do in your dream state, you can do in your waking state. Is dreaming a higher state of consciousness? Kind of, yeah, because basically you're traveling interdimensionally. You're traveling through the dimensions, through the portals. You're accessing the aliens and the ETs that you guys were talking about earlier. You're accessing ships and different planetary systems and different collectives. And you're accessing all of these massively high frequency fields. And you're doing it in the dream state because the ego and personality is shut down, quiet, and it allows you, the aspect of you that's the light being, to go and play in these fields, which you can do in your waking state, which is what we do in the journeys that I do. Basically, we open up a portal, we bring ourselves into a different dimensional field, and we experience these light beings. So anyways, my friends, 50 minutes. I hope that was useful. That whole process, I got pulled out trying to moderate this, but Anyway, that's my talk about manifestation and intention. You guys are gonna, if you're not already, you're going to start to look at, you're gonna even think of the word manifesting as like, you're not manifesting anything. You're not creating any, it already is, right? So you start to look at everything that we've been doing in these other states, and it just doesn't make sense anymore. Like, manifesting, I'm not manifesting, I'm tapping into another version of me that already exists. That's all I'm doing. I just got to say hello to her and bring her into my field over and 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 over, and then boom, I'm collapsed the timeline. And honestly, you guys, understanding that it's simple. It's simple. You just hold it until it appears and collapses. And it becomes easier and easier and easier as you start really learning that it's that simple. We take everything and make it so complicated in lower frequencies and dimensions. In 3D, everything is so complicated, it's redonkulous. It's like overly complicated. And everything is simple as you start shifting into higher states of consciousness, because energy is simple. Consciousness is simple. It's simple. The quantum field is simple. The quantum field, which for so long has been looked at as like this complicated, like, how do we figure this out? And how does this work? And because there were times in my now moments, in previous nows, where I was like, what the freak is the quantum field? And like, what do you mean there's different timelines? And like, I couldn't conceptualize it. I couldn't understand it. It was like, because I wasn't energetically vibrating at the frequency that allowed me to understand it. Right? And so we have patience with everyone, because that's why you don't argue with people. That's why you don't debate with people. Debating is insane. Debating is like, it's crazy, because what you're doing when you're debating basically is, here's one human with a vibration, here's another human with a vibration. The vibrations are not similar and resonant, and so you're just pushing up against each other. Like, hey, are we going to ever connect? Are we going to ever make sense? Are we going to ever agree? Are we going to ever agree? Are we going to ever agree? Are we going to? No, because you're in two different frequencies. This holds a paradigm and program. This holds a paradigm and program, and they're not the same paradigms and programs. So why even do this? Why try to do this? It doesn't make any sense. It's a waste of energy, right? And then the humans do this thing where it's like, let's agree to disagree. Well, you should have just done that from the get-go, right? Why do you need to waste this time arguing and debating and trying to convince people of certain things? Is really, let that, like, it's a waste of energy. I mean, people can do it. But when you start shifting, you're like, oh, you believe that? Awesome. I believe this. Awesome. People are going to want to convince you. And there's maybe aspects of you that want to convince somebody of something. It's like, wait, what am I doing? They're vibrating into resonance. I'm vibrating into resonance. They're holding a reality and a paradigm and programs, and I'm not. It's okay. You know what I mean? There's a lot of you guys, I'm just looking at Aaron's thing. There's a lot of you guys that are going to start to remember the hybridization programs that were occurring, that are not occurring in the same way anymore. And these hybrid races that have been a part of our history for a very long time. And we are not being abducted and hibernated the way we used to, even though there are people that would argue that. It's a very conscious choice if you are choosing to experience that sort of program, but they are not infiltrating and taking over the physical body in order to create those races. Those races are created now. They're done, and they're in a different dimensional field, right? And we call them hybrid races. But they are not continuing to be created by the human form unless that human says, I'm choosing this. You see, 5,000 years ago, it was not a choice. They came in, they infiltrated, they penetrated our fields, and they accessed us without us being aware of it. Now, from a higher perspective, you agreed to it. Now they are not infiltrating. So what that means is that you, as the conscious human, have to be connecting with them outside of this field that we're in. Whether you're conscious of it or not, if you are experiencing any abductions of any sort, they are occurring off and out of this third dimensional plane. So they're happening not in, they're happening out of the field. Okay, that makes sense. But there's hundreds of these hybrid races that are beautiful beings, and many children that are tapping into the human form, and they're tapping into you guys because either you've played a role in their race, or you're here to teach about the hybridization of these beautiful races and these children. I mean, there's so many reasons that this is all happening and occurring. So yeah, I mean the message I got about 2 years ago when I went to the Dulce bases in New Mexico was that there's no abductions happening on the Earth plane anymore, and there's no the hybridization program isn't actually occurring any longer on the Earth plane. It's just not. It was taken away. It was taken away almost 100 years ago, but it took a very long time for them these higher dimensional beings to pull the races completely off the plane, off the grid, off the field, out of our field. Everything's fields, everything's dimensions, right? And in a third dimension, there's a field around us. And if that field is opened and allowing other beings to come in, then they'll infiltrate in. If there's a field around it, like a gate, so to speak, that the Galactic Federation puts around our field so that we're safe, they can't access it anymore. But we're quantum. We have free will. So you can access them by moving out of the 3D field. But there's no more infiltration. Nobody's a victim and nobody's being infiltrated anymore. Nobody's being taken from their beds unless they are choosing to connect with them. And it will feel like they're coming in. Now, there's a lot of humans that are experiencing dark entities and dark energies and dark beings, but they are not the same races, 4D races that came in and abducted and created the hybridization programs. They're different beings. They're lower vibrational entities and consciousnesses that are in this third dimensional field. Very different. Very different. And if you tapped into them, you would feel the difference in them. It's a very different energy. It's just different. We're all masters. What else? It's starting to rain outside. Okay, ATs are still implanting. I'm not saying that that's not happening. What I'm saying is they're not infiltrating the humans anymore. So whoever is experiencing any hybridization program or any abductions of any sort with any other races, they're doing it by choice, whether they are conscious of it or not. So that's what I'm saying. They are not infiltrating our planetary system anymore unless that human is saying, I am going to participate and experience these races. And then what they're doing is they're actually doing it out of the 3D grid. Most people don't understand how dimensions and the quantum field, they don't quite understand how it works. And so they think that they're being infiltrated. They think that it's coming in, and it's not. It's not anymore. Okay, that's enough about that subject. I think I'm gonna go. I hope this was useful. I love you guys so much. And maybe I'll go live again tomorrow on something else that comes in. I don't know. If you guys want to do the journey with the seas, oh my God, it was literally out of this world. And to do it, you would go to my Patreon, and you would subscribe to the Patreon. It's $23. And you get all the replays of everything I've done, all the live Q&As, all the live channeled journeys I've done. But the most recent one was the one I did today, and so you'll get the replay. I don't know if there's anybody on the YouTube that did it and they can explain what it was like, but it was out of this freaking world. It was a massive jolt and shift. No, I haven't heard about 1216. It was amazing. It was amazing. Okay. Intention, manifestation, timelines, collapsing, bada boom, bada bang. There you go. Enjoy. And remember, it's baby steps and it's practicing. And so that's what we're going to do. Baby steps, practicing. And remember, you guys, it's about feeling more and more and more. Allow yourself to feel more and more and more and more. It's such magic right now. Okay. I love you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time, whenever that is. And that's it. Mwah.